You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Isolated showers around, the high 82. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 65 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And good morning and welcome into a hump day edition of Inside the Locker Room, 205-342-9904. If you want to jump in on the show with us this morning, X accounts at Locker Room 109, at Barry Sanderson, at Wimp Sanderson 1. The email for the show is wimpandbarry@yahoo.com. Download that Tide 100.9 app. You got Coach DeBoer show tonight out at Baumhower's Wing. They always have another University of Alabama coach over there tonight. Usually bring your player, so you can catch that if you're out of town and you can't listen to the radio waves. You have the Tide 100.9 app on your smartphone. You also can send us a message really anytime during the day, but especially throughout the show, and we can read your message over the air if you do not want to call. We want to thank Yellowwood Pressure Treated Pine from Great Southern. They always make this 7 o'clock hour possible. Always remember, guys, if it doesn't have that yellow tag on it, then you certainly don't want it. Go to yellowwood.com to find the dealer that is closest to you. Jack Crow will join us at the bottom of the hour. Bill Cameron in the second hour will find out the mindset of the Auburn Tigers traveling over to Georgia. Will they get a sad Georgia or a mad Georgia over there? I would imagine Kirby Smart would have these guys mad, so maybe a bad time for Auburn to go between the hedges this weekend. Good morning, Chase. How are you, sir? Good morning, Dad. How are you?
I'm fine. Several things. I hate to repeat what they talk about nationally, but I think it's important. Tigers beat the Astros 3-1. Now we're in a series where 3 losses and you're out. Royals won also 1-0. Mets beat the Brewers 8-4, and Braves weren't able to get any runs, and their offense killed them, I thought, last night rather than the pitching, and they got beat 4-0 by Padres. Quarterback at Florida State, broken finger. Brock Glenn is going to start. It's not a big line. I've been trying to study this stuff for Blue Plate, but we'll see what happens there. As Barry mentioned, Auburn is, of course, playing their first road game after 5 straight home games. And that's quite a difference there, so we'll see what happens. For all you people that are all happy and bragging and talking about the Alabama win over Georgia, you have to understand in the minds of coaches and players and everybody else that are not sitting in a chair listening to a radio show, that the Vanderbilt game counts just as much in wins and losses as Georgia does. Counts either 1 win or 1 loss. Georgia, 1 win or 1 loss. So you have to have your football team ready to play. I think they've worked hard to do that. They've talked about it a lot. And so I think that they probably will be ready to play. But I think it's important that you understand that it counts the same. I mean, I know Georgia's number 1, so it's a little bit different there. But in terms of where you are now, before I turn it over to let Barry say what he wants to, when I look at the games this week, and it's hard to find a Blue Plate, I think the important games really and truly, I think Ole Miss at South Carolina's big. South Carolina's 9.5. And the reason for that is Ole Miss drops that game. They'll have a hard time getting their kids to play the rest of the year because they'll think they're out of it. I think it's a huge game for Ole Miss to go to South Carolina. South Carolina's capable of beating it, so I think it's big. I don't know what would happen in Central Florida and Florida. I think Florida gets 3 points in that game. I believe that's right. I may be wrong. Central Florida comes in there and beats them. It's bad for everybody and sort of a tough game. If Arkansas were to beat Tennessee, I think Arkansas staff keeps their jobs. I think that's big there. So those games there are important. The Alabama Vanderbilt game we've talked about, Auburn and Georgia. We know that there'll be somewhat of a beat-up Georgia team, I think, but I'm guessing that they'll probably be ready to play. We invite your questions, and we'll have two good guests today, I think, and a little bit about the Georgia game, a little bit about Auburn, and if you have some comments, thoughts about what we need to do, just give us a call.
I think also an interesting game on Friday. Syracuse at UNLV. A lot of people projecting UNLV to be the team that comes out of the group of five. And normally you would think if let's say Alabama and Texas make it to the SEC championship and Texas were to win that game, then Alabama would probably be the 5 seed, and that's who you would play, who are that 12 seed, which would probably be that group of 5 teams. So you could make a peek there at UNLV. You might be somebody you're playing in the first round of the playoffs. As far as Major League Baseball, Dad, goes, you play 162 games. Now, unfortunately, on last Thursday and Friday, I guess the Braves had a rain out when they were supposed to play the Mets beside that game then. So, they go through the weekend and then everything that has to happen for the Mets to come back to play, they come back. So they play on Monday. They play a doubleheader. And then, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, why are we rushing the playoffs? It wasn't their fault with the weather. So the regular season went all the way to a Monday. So they had to play the 2 games that day. So they don't pull out of Atlanta. I mean, they get out of the game and get out of the stadium and they get on an airplane and they've had to fly all the way across the country. I know the Mets had to go to Milwaukee as well. I get it. But why don't we give these guys one day? You have a day off Friday there, and extend it. What is the rush, I guess? When you play 162 games a week, got to start the wild card the next day. I just don't understand
probably
that.
TV.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't think it's good either. It's probably television. And I thought the Braves people did a good job last night. They kept on, the media did, trying to squirrel them into say things that ask stupid questions, and I thought he did a good job saying simply, it's not, you want to question our pitching. They did a good job with their pitchers, and we weren't able to get any runs, and we weren't able to do anything offensively. It was the offense that cost us so badly. Your back's against the wall when you got that short series like that, and it's darn hard, and I don't know.
You just play all year to get to this point, and then it's like we're playing 2 out of 3 and rushing it. The Braves season could obviously, there are 4 teams season could end tonight if they get swept 2 out of 3, so you never even get back to Atlanta, but it is what it is.
I spent most of my time, I switched back and forth on listening to the debate. I get to say this part of it's my radio show. This Vance guy that's running for vice president is a terrific. Oh, boy, he's a smart guy, answers questions well, and says the right things at the right time.
Yeah, he needs to be running for president.
Boy, he is. That boy, he's not boy, but he's this goober now. He's better than the guy running for president.
Yeah, we got the wrong guy running for president. Actually, both of those guys are smarter than the 2 that are running for president.
Tell you what, this booger bear can really, he tells the right. And the one thing about him, he interjects stuff that needs to be said into another question. Another question is asked, but he interjects what he wants to interject before he answers that question. He's slicker than an owl, whatever. Okay.
Y'all seeing what's going on the West Coast? San Jose State. Y'all been following this story. All right. San Jose State, guys, has a transgender volleyball player. So they have a male that's a female, a male that's a female, thinks he's a female now. And so, Boise State said, nope, we're not playing. We're just going And they didn't say why, but they just used the conference rule. They're not going to play, and they're going to take a forfeit. Wyoming just did the same thing, and so did Southern Utah. So they have refused to play San Jose State. The governor for Idaho said, "I applaud Boise State for working within the spirit of my executive order, the Defending Women's Sports Act. We need to ensure player safety for all our female athletes and continue to fight for fairness in women's sports." So what should San Jose State do, or what should I'm not even sure the person, their name, should she or he or what, I don't know what should they step away? So now they're just losing match after match and nobody's playing them. So what is San Jose State?
When you have a lady quarterback, it'll all come up.
So anyway, I don't know that's called national news yet, because it's volleyball, but it is pretty interesting. Wyoming just came out and said that we will not play San Jose State.
We'll have a whole pile of that if Camellia gets in.
So anyway, that's, it's happening now without her in. So anyway, that's kind of going on. I thought that was kind of interesting there. These universities are choosing not to play San Jose State in volleyball, so we'll see what happens there. 2 Minute Truck, they're at 1330 Martin Road East. That's where you go pick up your boxes, your packing supplies, whatever you need to make this a smooth move. As local, out of town, out of state, no problem. Let the professionals handle it. And moving is stressful. These guys will take all the stress away. Give them a call today for the free estimates, 205-247-5050. That's 2 Men in a Truck. Movers who care.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Wednesday morning. The Tuscaloosa City Council's Projects Committee has cleared the way for the next phase of the Riverwalk along the Black Warrior River. Committee Chair Norman Crow told news partner ABC 3340 it's a continuation of the effort to increase outdoor activity and involve the entire city. If approved by the full council, construction would begin in the fall of 2025. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage all throughout the day. It's free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Still ideal travels for your workday Wednesday. We do have a little bit of a delay over in Coling, and this is on Highway 11 or Route 11 there between Hagler-Coling Road and Lower Coling Road. That's inside the construction zone, and then we've got plenty of that. So
visit us at 3537 Skyland Boulevard East or online at BMWofTuscaloosa.com. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partly to mostly sunny today with a warm afternoon, the high 85. Tonight fair with the low at 63. Tomorrow partially sunny, the high 86. Friday, a mix of sun and clouds, a few isolated showers around, the high 82. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 64 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Never miss a moment of the action. Download the free Tide 100.9 app today.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Yellow with pressure treated pine from Great Southern brings you this 7 o'clock hour. Always remember, guys, if it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. All right, go to the yellowwood.com hotline. Get Philip in. Morning, Philip.
Morning.
Good morning, y'all. How you doing today?
We're good. How are you?
Okay.
I'm doing fine, sir. This is a great time of year. We're coming up on the hard to believe week 6, right? Hard to believe. I think I'm right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got some teams out there that I think are kind of interesting to look at right now as far as the playoffs go. A few teams are trying to exit out. Ole Miss certainly didn't help themselves the other day. Oklahoma State's probably done. Utah had a bad loss. So we got Indiana. They're undefeated. I think BYU is sneaky good. I think Pitt's good. Iowa State's playing really well. And I tell you, a team that I think is primed to get some recognition this week, I think Rutgers is going to beat Nebraska.
Where is that game?
Lincoln.
Greg Schiano, huh?
Yeah, I saw the line on it. I forgot what it was.
I'm looking at Pitt. Is Pitt even ranked?
I'd have to let me go back and look.
No, I'm looking. I just don't. And I'm not. I think Eli Holstein has Pitt lost yet, or are they still undefeated?
I believe they are undefeated there, but I've been looking at so many teams in the last couple of days that they run together.
So the AP poll, you got Alabama, Texas, Ohio State, who's played nobody. Obviously, they're good. Tennessee is 4. Georgia, Oregon still undefeated. Penn State still undefeated. Miami still undefeated. Missouri is still undefeated. Michigan with 1 loss comes in at 10. Georgia is obviously 1 loss at 5. USC is 3-1, 11. Ole Miss now 4-1. So Dad's right. This game this weekend would be pretty much a killer. If you lose to Kentucky and South Carolina, you're probably on the outside looking in. LSU still in this thing at 4-1. Notre Dame 4-1. Clemson quietly over there at 3-1. Iowa State's 4-0. You said BYU, they're 5-0. Utah, that was a kind of a weird game. They lost at home to Arizona. Oklahoma 4-1. So it gets kind of weak down there. UNLV comes in at 4-0. At right outside the top 25. So
Pitt is 4-0.
Yeah. All right. Indiana's 5-0 as well, but Pitt,
yes, sir,
currently is on the AP rankings. They'd be 26. They'd be 28, right behind Arizona, and Nebraska is right past Pitt right now. So on the left side.
Let's look at Pitt for a sec. They've got North Carolina coming up. That's a win. They play Cal at home, probably win. They play Syracuse at home, probably win. Then they go to SMU. SMU has got their offense rolling. Then they'll play Virginia, probably a win. Then they play Clemson at home. And then they finish out the year at Louisville and at Boston College. So they got a very good opportunity, I think, to make some waves nationally and certainly in their conference.
Yeah, we'll see. Do you see the ACC? I would think at the most, Dad, would you think maybe if Miami were to go undefeated and then Clemson get in the championship game, I couldn't see more than 2. Could you guys see more than 2 from the ACC getting in the playoff?
No, not really. I think I hadn't thought about it, but of course Miami's going to be there, and Clemson's not bad. They're playing, I think, pretty well. So those 2 for sure. The rest of them are. I think SMU is one to watch there in that league. He's actually played like a bunch of dogs the first game. They were awful, but they have really come along, played well.
That's right.
So all this information you're giving, I'm studying my blue plate. You give me what you think.
Well,
you're silent.
Well, I haven't. I know some games that I think are intriguing to me this week.
Well, I've got 5 games. I'll talk about tomorrow because Barry's making me do them on Thursday. He wants me to do them on Thursday and making me, but asking me to do them on Thursday. So I've got 5 games to talk about.
I bet I can tell you your 5. I bet you Michigan State and Oregon's one.
Well, no, they're not. Maybe they should be. Maybe they should be. Maybe that's the reason I'm not winning. But I don't know. That's one of the Friday games.
The more you look at these things, man, you should take the points. When you lay the points, they don't ever work out for you. Everybody was calling us telling Mississippi State, that's a lock. You're gonna get blown out.
Well, I got that right, but I didn't get it.
37
I got
points.
that correct.
Those points, baby, they help you. It seems like, but everybody tries to figure out who's going to win, and they don't worry about the points.
Yeah. So. Hey, Barry, I always like to pop a zinger in there on you on basketball. What are you hearing on the Tide? I know you've got some pretty good sources over there.
Just the kid from South Florida that was co-player of the year. He's out. He had ankle surgery. You see him rolling around on one of those.
Yeah, I hated that.
Young blood. It's in some ways, I hate for the kid to get hurt, but it's almost a blessing. Not a blessing. That's not a blessing for everybody to ever get hurt. But so I didn't mean that. But I mean as far as trying to figure out who to play, it's just one less guy you have to worry about because we got so many guys there. So they get. I was asking a guy yesterday. I said, "How are these teams already practicing?" And well, they give you 42 days. That you can practice prior to your first game. So you can kind of work it however you want. So a lot of people have already, started practicing, there, but they're very deep. I just don't know how they're going to get these guys the minutes. They can get them in the game, but the transfer from Auburn, is he going to get a lot of minutes? I don't see, the kid that was there last year, the player of the year, coming out of the game. So they're really good.
Well, can you imagine we were allowed to start practice on October the 15th?
But they're starting the season earlier now, like a week or two earlier. So they're giving them
October 15th.
They're giving them, I think 40.
If we got caught practicing in the summer somewhere, we got bad trouble fined.
Yeah. Those days have changed.
The seasons are going to be here in just before we know it. Isn't it like the first game is like November the
7th, somewhere around there. And they're also going to play. They're also going to play Wake Forest and Memphis, towards the end of October. So you got two. Those games won't count on your record, but those are two quality opponents right there to kind of figure out the rotation. Who they want to start, who's best playing where, who's best playing together. So they got a lot to do there as far as that goes, but talent is not going to be a problem.
Not as much as most teams.
I saw Nate Oates was saying that he was going to send his staff out to a bunch of different NBA practices to come up with some new ideas and whatever. So I guess they'll be doing that while these NBA guys are in training camp. So they're trying to incorporate a lot of the things, the spacing and things that they do in the NBA.
Barry, here's a quick rundown of the first 5 games. November 4th, UNC Asheville, home. November 8th, Arkansas State, home. November the 11th, McNeese State, home. November 15th, at Purdue. November 20th, versus Illinois.
There you go. So it'll be here before you know it. That first game's set. Yeah. So thank you, Philip.
Thank y'all. Have a great day.
Good. Thank you. Dad, so let's look real quick. Let's see here. We got to get to Jack here just a minute. But Vanderbilt has played 4 games. Nobody knew about Virginia Tech. They knock them off at home. The first game, 34-27. Alcorn was no game. Then for some reason they go play Georgia State in Atlanta. And they go over there and they get beat 36-32. So that probably had Missouri not ready to play. They go to Missouri and they have a kick really to win the game, I guess. And it ends up going to overtime and Missouri beats them 30-27. So you don't really know. It's hard to tell. You lose at Georgia State, you beat Virginia Tech, and you play Missouri, who's undefeated, to overtime.
Well, what's happened is they brought the quarterback in from New Mexico and also the coach. And I didn't really catch that when I should have when they were playing Virginia Tech. But he's come in, and he's really helped them offensively. Quarterback does a good job, but the new coach puts a lot of insight into them. Whether they're good at Alabama, of course not. But anything can happen in a one-game series. So, but they've done a nice job. The Georgia State thing. Georgia State gets a lot of players. They have good team, bad name, and so Vanderbilt, you got to be ready to play them. And so I think that's what I tried to emphasize to my kids every time we had a big win, that the next one counted the same.
Yeah, I think the staff will have this team ready, and we'll see. All right, we'll take the break here and get to Coach Jack Crow. We'll look at college football with Coach. That's the Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Still ideal travels for your workday Wednesday. We do have a little bit of a delay over in Coaling, and this is on Highway 11 or Route 11 there between Hagler-Coaling Road and Lower Coaling Road. That's inside the construction zone, and then we've got plenty of that. So McFarland, both these
WTBC. It's all powered by Townsend Honda. For more details on how to win cash, tap that free Tide app.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental-car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance and
the week. Located across from Sokol Park, the venue houses Finney's Pub, the second location of Rammer Jammers, and Liza's Sweet Shop. Visit VenueTuscaloosa.com to learn more.
You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
You're going to build the 5-star backyard, the fence, the deck, the pergola. There's only one choice. That would be Yellowwood. Go to yellowwood.com to find the dealer closest to you. All right, we want to get football. When we want to break down football, we go to the coach. And we'll get to the Yellowwood hotline and go to Coach Jack Crow. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Hey, Jack.
Hey, Barry. Hey, Wimp.
How are you?
Beautiful morning. Beautiful morning.
Jack, Alabama in the first half against Georgia was about as good as you can be with great players. And Georgia, who had been mangled, came back like a Georgia team I thought they would. So we had two teams that played awfully hard and awfully well at the right times.
Yep.
Is Alabama in their offense running a lot of stuff that they ran at Washington that really helps Jalen?
I think in the passing game, yes. I think there's some elements of what came out, what's in the background at Fresno State, at Washington, that are concepts that they're very comfortable with, that are probably unique to, what SEC defenses are used to looking at. Of course,
that's reading
number two. Yeah. But number two, I mean, and they had one of those at Washington, one that is just a mismatch. And, I think no matter what a scheme is, there's somewhere in there you got a personnel advantage. Last year it was a tight end for Georgia. There's somewhere in there where you got a problem, that just boils down to who's on who. But I think scheme probably was a big part of that. But I also think that Alabama has proved that physicality. They stepped into the SEC equal to the physicality of it. That was obvious.
We're talking with Coach Jack Crow. Coach, after that first half, take me in the mindset of the locker room on both sides. Kirby Smart, those guys probably get in there and they probably they probably tell the punter, you can go put your clothes on. We ain't punting in the second half. We're going for it every time. We're going to be aggressive. We got nothing to lose. Coach DeBoer and their staff, they're thinking, man, we just can't beat ourselves. We don't want to lay the ball on the ground, but we got to keep doing what we're doing because it's been working. But maybe you get I don't want to say, people say they took their foot off the gas. I don't know if that's the case. But sometimes when you have a lead that big, you don't want to do anything stupid. What are the mindsets in both locker rooms there when you got a 30-7 game?
Well, Barry, this is not the answer you were asking to get, but down at Auburn, they're wishing they had took their foot off the gas.
Yeah.
Where do you get it right? And, they overexpose themselves in too tight of a football game. So, I think in both cases, what happened at halftime was the reasonable thing you do. I mean, you realize what your matchups are, and so you make those adjustments. But you always have to play against the risk. When you saw it going forward on fourth down, I mean, we're taking on all risk, and on the other side is, the risk acceptance, if you want to call it tolerance. I mean, they couldn't have been more opposite ends of the spectrum. And I think, you take the risk of what happened. There was a +3 turnover differential in this game. No team at any level has much of a chance with that.
Yeah.
And so did the risk get them? I mean, just on the bottom line, look at it. The risk ultimately got them. And I think all we were doing was looking at round one of a 2-round fight, and what is going to look different. What do you take from Georgia as a concern going to play them again, and what do you take at Alabama with a concern going to play them again? I mean, I think everybody's going to be talking about it pretty quick. And I think the coaches, left the game thinking that way. Hey, we have probably got another showdown coming with these guys. I think Georgia will be good enough to beat Texas. Now, maybe not, but I think they will, and I think Alabama's good enough to beat Tennessee. So just take that out of it. There's clearly one dimension that always changes that, and the speed of the quarterback. The speed of the quarterback is an element. I mean, I'd like to know really what that guy was running on that first touchdown. Yeah. There were 3 people that had angle on him, and 3 people that could run, and they couldn't get there. That was almost a Bo Jackson kind of run right there now from a quarterback.
Yeah, Coach, what is the mindset of an offensive coordinator in football? Like in a basketball team, when a team's really going to jack you up and come after you defensively, you'll run a backdoor play and get them, boom, and get a layup. In football, when a team comes all the way back and then, boom, they take the lead, they're celebrating over there. Is the offensive coordinator, is it good to say, hey, they're all giddy, we're going to take a shot at them on the first play, which is what they did. Now, Ryan Williams made an incredible catch, a spin, and then another spin. So it was a great throw, great play by Ryan. Is that an offensive coordinator's mindset? They've got the lead, they're all giddy. We're going to take a shot at them right here on the first play.
I think the word you think of is we have lost momentum, and we need to get it back as quick as we can.
Yes.
Because the longer you stay with that momentum going the wrong way, the harder it creates. It gets heavy. And if you have the mindset and you're bold, you go get that momentum right now. And the way you get momentum is you give it to your best player. I mean, the player creates momentum, not the play call. And so, I think they have clearly said that the go-to guy at Alabama is number 2. He's not the Deuce of the old age, but he is dang sure a Deuce. The loose Deuce, I think, is what they called him, right? Well, he got loose. But momentum affects big football games, and coaches that are used to coaching in big football games, they know how to change. Whether you run a backdoor play or something, you do something, to get the momentum back.
Yeah, good thought. Thanks. Go ahead, Dan.
You're on the other side of the ball, but the defensive people did a good job, I thought, against. I think Georgia's really good myself, even though they, lost.
Yep.
What about defensively? Are they going to be a consistent, hard-nosed? I think a guy does a really good job of doing the plans of running the stuff he likes to run, and it's a vision defense.
Absolutely.
Talk about that a little bit. Sorry.
Well, it's a vision defense. Recognition is what I call it. It's a recognition defense where they keep people where they can run. Just if they can see it, they can get it, which means if you got speed, and they got speed. They got one problem. They ain't got anybody as fast as number 4. And, then you got speed until you see somebody else has got more speed. So
let me jump in there and ask you this question before I forget it, because I got bad memory. Is faking the football to your backs to where they can't read where the ball is that sounds kind of elementary, but is that helpful against a vision defense where you do a lot of faking and stuff like Tennessee does?
Well, what you end up defensively having to sort of tangle with is, are we going to make this assignment football when that ball is at a decision point? The quarterback's standing there and he's got his hands in the running back's belly. A defensive staff, if they really feel like that they're faster and they don't want to restrict their players and they want to go to the ball, get as many people the ball as they can, they just leave it to wherever the ball goes, that's where you go. Or you figure, which is what Georgia did, or you figure, by God, we ain't doing this without assignment football the next time we do this. Which most defenses, you say, I don't care where you think the ball is going, your eyes are on the quarterback.
Yeah.
And if they were to play him again, and I think they got to that in the second half, they changed the eye discipline around the ride to side is what I call it. Where that ball there's not, the decision apparently hadn't been made where it's going yet. It either is a quarterback making a decision or it could be just a pure fake. I think most of them are really the decision of the quarterback. And I think Georgia was trying to play without giving assignments for people. Like you got to dive, you got the quarterback, which is going back to the triple option. But I think they changed that at halftime. They started playing more assignment football around that ride to side piece.
Coach, I know you're big on player safety. I don't understand this rule. When Bama, I guess there was a timeout, and they came after the quarterback. I mean, and they brought the house, and they were unblocked, and he was going to take an absolute shot. So he just throws the ball just to get out of his hands. I mean, what's he supposed to? So he gets intentional grounding of safety there. But aren't we trying to protect the quarterback? If he holds on to the ball, he's going to get absolutely lit up. So is that a bad rule there? If the guy can just get it out of his hands, I don't think it should be intentional. Just for player safety alone, if he holds the ball, he's going to get mauled.
This very decision is probably going to be in a boardroom somewhere at a conference or an NCAA meeting, because you're absolutely right. We've moved the needle to where they can, as long as it goes past the line of scrimmage and, you're outside the box, you can really do anything you want. It's not intentional grounding. But now we get back, okay, you're in the box. If you get caught in the situation you're talking about, and maybe the next rule change is that, you completely take intentional grounding out. And the way it's going, I would expect, Barry, that you may see the rule change to where there is no intentional grounding, but I don't know. They don't ask me to those meetings.
I mean, you can take the center, take the snap, and just spike the ball right down. That's not intentional grounding.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
I tell you, I did see one time where a quarterback was trying to spike the ball, and the ball went past the line of scrimmage. He sort of double clipped it, and they did call it intentional grounding.
Yeah.
And because they had to call it a forward pass. But anyway, you're right. I mean, there's vagueness, and if we're going to make the total commitment to safety, we ought to take that out. We ought to say there is no intentional grounding. Now, it's not going to hurt the competitiveness if you do that. I mean, it really doesn't have any competitive viability anymore to do that.
Yeah. Nick Sheridan, I think he's a really good coordinator. He's a real serious guy. He doesn't get too high, too low in the box. You listen to the press conference. He's really studies the game. And they saw a couple things that they felt like a trick play would work. People are criticizing and saying you're beating them to death. Why are you running a trick play? He said, hey, we look at everything and we felt like it would work. Also, on down the line, people will have to prepare for something like that because they know Alabama will do it. Did you have a problem with him running those couple trick plays?
Nobody leaves the game who wouldn't take something back or do it at a different time in a different way. But if you ever go into a game and don't have those in your arsenal and don't think forward like he's relating to, you're going to end up short somewhere. Maybe that game, was different. But the way there's nothing wrong with the way he's thinking. In fact, it is the elite people do exactly what he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will make this comment, and I think back, Wimp, to you asked me what the difference was with Alabama going to a 4-2-5 and how that's different from what Nick's approach. And everybody has a nickel package, so they get into a 4-2-5. But people that live in a 4-2-5 can't get into that 5-man with that guy coming that a tackle can't block. They've lost something personnel wise, where you just have that, and you win at the game in recruiting. I mean, you got to go get those guys, and they're probably going to go in the top 10 rounds when you get them, and they've had a bunch of them that have. But when you have to bring 5 and free him up because you've disguised it, as opposed to you've got the threat of 5 on every down, and oh, by the way, you're 101 over here with this guy coming off his edge, and you're probably not going to be able to block him. That had a lot to do. I mean, the disguise element for the quarterback got a lot better at halftime. They simplified what he had to do to deal with the disguises and unless they blocked 6, they really couldn't say for sure they were going to get there. The teams that are threatening you with 5 and they bring 4 are the ones that dominate the passing situation. But the ones that do that, they got a dude, his whole job is just to rush, and about half the time he's going to drop and fool you. And I think people need to realize that this 4-2-5 change, makes the whole element of rushing the passer at Alabama a lot different. And I think as the game went on, the disguise went away, and where 5 was coming from became a lot more obvious to Georgia, and they were less threatened by it.
Okay, I'm going to switch over to Auburn.
All right.
I'm going to say something without saying something. You ever done that? Say something without saying something.
I think I say that to my wife all the time.
Yeah, I talked with Jimmy Rain last night, and Auburn's going to keep those quarterbacks. He didn't say much. Auburn's going to keep those quarterbacks because they were as good as anybody they could get. Now I'm going to clear my throat. This is going to be a 3-game series, along with the losses at home of 5 straight home games, and you lose 3. Talk about this situation.
Well, I was at the game, and I got there early and studied the crowd because that crowd put it all out there for that team.
Yeah.
But I think we know that'll only go so far. And there's a 12th man at Auburn as much as there's a 12th man and a lot of great programs have a 12th
That's right.
man.
I agree.
And Auburn's got one, And if they go down this 0-3 stretch 0-3, I think we saw it under Gene Chizik. You know, hope is not eternal. And, I think little they've given away 3 football games. And I don't know if they're prepared for what comes next, but I think they need to be playing with as little risk as they have to play with. And that's not been the case on offense. And I quite honestly come from a different world. So when I see it, I'm going, do they think they have to score 50 to win? Just look at your own defense play. I mean, when they're playing good, you pull it back. When I was at Auburn, I knew that we scored 24. We were going to win unless we made a conscious decision on Tuesday. It was going to take 24. I was constantly criticized for, it's the same old thing. We just are not that expensive. I tell you what we did, and we didn't beat our own self any when I was there. Any. And we went to play Florida State. I knew we had to have 42 points, and we got it. And so, I don't know that they really have calculated themselves well enough to know, what offense and defense and kicking game all do together. Hell, just do enough to win. That run pass option now, and they did that boy wrong. They did. The quarterback at Auburn, I mean, he played one hell of a damn football game. He's got a bunch of wide receivers that he can't predict where the hell they're going to come out of a cut. Is that going to get some interception thrown? You damn right it is.
Yeah. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Hugh Freeze had his press conference, I guess, Monday. And I don't know if he's doing this on his own, but he basically wanted to tell everybody what a bad situation he inherited. Talked about all the guys that transferred. He said even the AD done a good job of putting it out there that they had guys leave. It was bad. It's going to get better. They're not that far away. So basically they were just killing Brian Harsin without saying Brian Harsin's name. At what point do we have to turn the page on that? I mean, I get it. He did inherit a bad situation. He said he was told that, and then he was taking that job regardless. I don't know. At what point do people get tired of hearing that and say, let's turn the page and just...
Barry, let me tell you something. I know Auburn pretty well. I mean, even after I coached there, I must have had 8 different really close personal friends that I talked to pretty regularly, maybe 10. Started with Bobby Petrino. They were on that staff. They was always talking to me about what was going on inside. Wayne Hall, all the way up through the time. I know that place. It is very consistent. I'll go back to this. 1983, we had the best team in the country. 75% of that team was already there. They got players. It's a friggin' excuse.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I thought. That.
Where are we with 2 teams? Ole Miss gets their fannies beat at South Carolina if they were to. It's a big if. They could be out because those guys will probably quit on them to start with. So that's a thought in my mind. The other thought is what happens if a Georgia with playing, the schedule they have, the Tennessee and Texas, and gets beat, makes it 3. Barry feels like that they'll still get to go to the 12. Just those 2 teams bother me a little bit. What about the Ole Miss deal, and what about Georgia?
Well, I think there's teams we don't know their character yet.
Yeah,
and this thing about playing these soft 3 games, I mean, it leads us down the road to think something we shouldn't be thinking. I thought Ole Miss was a powerful offensive football team, and I thought Kentucky was a good defensive football team. You come out of that game, you're wrong on one side of that. One side of that, you're not right.
Yeah.
But now that you have the suspicion of it, I think we're still a game, maybe some places 2 games away from knowing what the character of your football team is. And I use character in a broad sense, not whether you lie or steal character, but football character, which I used to get myself in a lot of trouble when you have guys and you use the word character. You better distinguish football character. Who's got football character? And I don't know if Ole Miss has got football character. I think Kentucky's got football character.
Yeah, you lose to South Carolina like that, then you come back and do what they've done. Play Georgia like that, really could have beat them, then you go win at Ole Miss. Pretty remarkable. Alabama right now, Coach, and I think even in the Malmore building, Coach Saban was the best, but I'm sure sometimes he had his coaches all on edge. Boy, that they're over there now having a really, really good time. And they had a good time Saturday night down here. They got all the recruits in. They got the former president, the stars in. This is kind of the place to be right now. Did you think it would be this good, this quick after Nick Saban retired?
Well, we got a hat, we got a hat that says something significant. Again, I use the word character again, but I also relate to the word you said. I love the word edgy. When you walked into that building when Nick was there, and I was in and out of there pretty regular, it was edgy from the time you came through by the dang secretary's desk. The secretary was edgy. If there was a cleaning lady in there, the cleaning lady was edgy. Okay? Obviously, it's a different climate, but this guy has, he has his own edginess. Mm-hmm. And the one thing about, Saban almost wear you down because it was a 24/7 proposition. You're afraid to laugh at the cooler, But obviously this guy, you look at his history, Coach DeBoer, he's got an edginess about him that may be a little more situational. Some coaches are that way, but everybody knows when that situation's on too. And so, I think if you relax and celebrate, you're better the next time you go play. I'll tell you that. And if they relax and celebrate, know who they're playing, get ready to play who they're playing, I think you're better off in the long run if you stop and celebrate and relax. I think that edgy all the time thing can run its course and wear you out.
Yeah, I heard you got to go, but Milrose said that. He said, I threw a good pass and I didn't really react. And Coach DeBoer came up to him and said, man, why'd you not act like you're happy? He said, well, we got to play the next play. He's like, no, we throw a pass like that, we're going to celebrate. We're going to enjoy it. We're not going to next play. Yeah, we're going to go play the next play, but we're going to enjoy that play we just made. So show a little emotion. And it was such a different deal there for that.
I think with today's kids, Jack Welch wrote a book. The title of Jack Welch was one of a generation CEO of General Electric. The name of the book was Winning, and one of the really strong statements in there said, if you want to consistently win, you better consistently celebrate every time you're successful.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. And I think Coach DeBoer has that philosophy. And with today's kids, there used to be a time where, came from an agricultural society, basically. That's been gone 15 years. And I think Coach DeBoer coaches today's kids the right way.
Yeah. Coach, great stuff as always. We appreciate you.
Jack. Yep. Appreciate you.
We appreciate you. Take care.
Thank you. All right, there's Coach Jack Crow. Went a little bit over, but it's hard to stop that. All right, you listen to Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. We want to thank Yellowwood. They made this 7 o'clock hour possible. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it.
Go inside the Alabama Crimson Tide with the Gary Harris Show.
Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. on the Gary Harris Show, the NASCAR report with Mac Holder. We always look forward to that. And also, Drudy Armand will join us. He couldn't make it on Tuesday, so we've got the Rocket Man with us and Larry the Music Man as well, plus your phone calls and more. That's a big Wednesday edition of the Gary Harris Show at 9 a.m.
Catch the Gary Harris Show Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
News from the NFL, where the Las Vegas Raiders have reportedly informed teams they are willing to listen to trade offers for star wide receiver Davante Adams. Postseason baseball got underway with 4 games, the best of 3 wild card round. Padres shut out the Braves 4-0. Fernando Tatis Jr. had a 2-run homer in the first inning. That was enough for starter Michael King in his first postseason start. He had 7 shutout innings, allowed 5 hits, no walks, 12 strikeouts in the win. Mets go into Milwaukee, beat the Brewers 8-4, rallying with a 5-run 5th inning for the victory. The Royals shut out the Orioles in Baltimore 1-0. Kansas City starter Cole Reagan 6 shutout innings. He and 3 relievers combined on a 5-hit shutout. Only run of the game was driven in by Kansas City star Bobby Witt Jr. with an RBI single in the 6th inning. And the Tigers beat the Astros in Houston 3-1. Detroit had all 3 of their runs come in the 2nd inning. Detroit starter Tarek Skubal 6 shutout innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts in the win.
It's the Tide 100.9 30K workday payday. Woo! Win cash every weekday 8 to 5. Here's this hour's cash code.
284. Again, that's 284. The code is 284.
Enter that code now on the Tide 100.
Shop Macy's VIP sale going on now. Use your coupon or Macy's card and take an extra 30% off the latest fall trends from designers that rarely go on sale. And save 15% off skincare, makeup, fragrances, and more. Plus, shop fall specials for even more great deals on top brands at Macy's. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
It's the Tide Tailgate Show on 95.3 The Bear and Tide 100.9 WTBC 1230. Roll Tide.
Inside the locker room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Back to the second hour of Inside the Locker Room. Andrew Kniffer, he's my All-State insurance agent. Let him become yours. I did 4705 McFarland Boulevard, Suite 3 over in Norport. Phone number 205-722-9201. Give Andrew a call if you're looking for auto, home, life, whatever type of insurance you need. These guys will take great care of you. They do it for me. 205-722-9201. All right, let's go to the Andrew Kniffer hotline. Go out to Skyland Boulevard. Talk a little Tuscaloosa Toyota with Justin Troll. Good morning, Justin. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
We're good. Tell us what's going on and how did you guys end up in September?
I don't have the exact number, but we were right short of 300, which 300 is always the goal, and that would be the way we base our month off of as an excellent month. So we had a great month in September, running out a lot of new products that's going to be hitting the market. And, hey, right now, buy 3, get 1 for $1 tire sale. That's the big deal right now. Buy 3, get 1 for $1.
All right, is that any tire? How does that work, Justin?
You can get any kind of tire you want. We're not specific to a single tire. It's not a push for a company that builds certain tires. It is any tire you want. Buy 3, get 1 for $1.
Good. All right, tell us about the vehicles, what you guys got on the lot, and if somebody's looking for something, you certainly can find it if you don't have it there, correct?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. It's one of those things where you get on our website, you can type in the search bar exactly what you're looking for. We price everything to sell it. Like I tell you every week, we're not in love with it. You can find it right there at TuscaloosaToyota.com. Shop all of our good deals. our incentives on financing, our rebates on all of our trucks, all of our used cars, over, I think, right at around 150 used cars. You can find it all right there at TuscaloosaToyota.com.
All right. Talk about the website. A lot of people maybe don't live here. They can do pretty much the same thing on the website without, I know every time I go there, somebody's wanting to talk with me. I can talk with them, but you got all these services right there at the website.
Yeah, and so a lot of people have students here, over 40,000 students. So a lot of people live in all parts of the country. They look to buy their student a car. That's what the website's there for, to make it easy. They can get on there. They can apply for financing. They can rent their child a car if they're trying to travel back home. They can do anything right there. They can schedule a service, where they can basically start the buying process, where they find the car. Everything's made easy. It's private, and it's easy to navigate. There's nothing better than an easy site to navigate, regardless of what you're buying.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I can't think of anything. I got to go in and have mine. They keep calling me about having mine checked, and I hadn't had time to get there, but everything's good. Mine's fine.
Justin, you got a blue plate for him this weekend.
Man, I'm staying away from it, man. The way these games is going, I don't know how he stays above water.
Yeah, you're right. I stay away from my picks if I were you.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Gordo Greenway still rolling?
They're doing pretty good. They fell asleep one night, but it happens. Alabama, Georgia fell asleep in one half, and you just never know, man. You got to be ready to go at all times. So y'all know how it is. That's why these games are hard to pick. So Wimp knows that more than anybody.
I know one of the things you guys do is you rent Toyotas. A lot of people can be heading up to Nashville. It'd be nice probably to rent one of y'all's Toyotas right there and then ride that thing up and try it out for the weekend. How do they do that?
Absolutely.
How do they do that?
Right there on our website. Just jump right there on our website. You can see what we got in the inventory, everything that we sell over there. So you can get right there on our website and rent one. And my family rented a Sienna van, 8-passenger Sienna van, took the whole family up to Tennessee 2 weekends ago, and so it's easy to do right there at TuscaloosaToyota.com.
Yeah, you can rent the Toyota. All right, that tire deal is great. That goes to the end of the month, correct?
That's correct.
Buy 3, get 1 free. Well, Justin, we appreciate you, man. You guys have a great week there at Tuscaloosa Toyota, and we'll talk with you next week.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you. There's Justin Troll there at Tuscaloosa Toyota. Yeah, so one of the things I asked Jack Crow, when Georgia scored to take the lead, there's a video out. The Georgia players were talking smack to the fans. Literally within 20 seconds, the lead was gone. So can you catch them off guard there? You hit them with a big play right there while they're celebrating. I thought what he said about, if you try to run the ball and they hit you for a 2-yard loss, the momentum just keeps to build for them. So Alabama took that moment. Now you got to execute the play. There's no guarantee.
That's the sentence of all this stuff you're saying is you got to execute the play. You don't need to run into a cotton picking line that's going to knock you back and it's going to be 3rd and 6. If you're able to know what you want, and this guy does, both of them does. Shepard helps him a lot too. Felt like if they need to throw the football to get things going, it's got to be the right throw, and it's got to be the right catcher, and it's got to be the right everything, or you've wasted a down there. So I think we certainly got to give them credit. You have of being smart by going and trying to jump back on the offensive side of the game when they were down. I thought that the play was terrific. I think the guy you've stated is very, very good. I think both of them are. And I think the difference in Alabama and Auburn a little bit in that situation is that the head coach and the offensive coordinators they trust each other. They know what everybody's going to do. Back last year when Hugh Freeze fired that guy, they didn't know what they were going. One didn't know what the other one was going to do, and when it turned out wrong, it was the assistant coach's fault, and he got fired. these guys here, they're on the same page. I think that's huge.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, we'll take the break here. We'll get to Bill Cameron. We'll find out kind of how things are going on the Plains. It's tough times down there right now. I think Jack Crow didn't really like Hugh Freeze taking the podium and blaming the people that came before him. That's what happened Monday. I did listen when Gary played that. That was actually kind of pitiful. You listen to it was kind of bad.
You gonna wear that out?
Well, it was just a new thing. He went to.
You wore him out for the last month.
I just don't like people that roll other people under. Just take responsibility and move on. You listen to Tide 100.9 is the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Got a little more volume working on McFarland Boulevard now that your rush to work is really beefing up. So east and westbound McFarland in between Main Avenue and Rice Mine 5th Street, you do have some heavy taps on the brakes. Now Lurleen Wallace is still pretty much on the...
It's the Tide Tailgate Show on 95.3 The Bear and Tide 100.9 WTBC 1230. Roll Tide.
Crimson Tide Today is presented on Tide 100.9 WTBC 1230 by BMW of Tuscaloosa. Online at bmwoftuscaloosa.com.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by Conecuh Sausage, a true Southern flavor since 1947 and the official smoked sausage of the Crimson Tide. Get some Conecuh Sausage now at ConecuhSausage.com. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. On yesterday's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we were joined by Alabama running back Kevin Riley.
Starting with the Western Kentucky game, how special was it? I mean, that had to be a little bit of an overwhelming day, your first day in uniform for the Tide, and then you get to play.
Well, I can't say that day. It was exciting. It was exciting for multiple people. That day, it was actually my mom's birthday, that game. So getting on the first game, getting to get in on my mom's birthday, it meant a lot. Actually getting to feel what it feels like to step on the field for the first time and carry the ball in your hands, rush for a couple yards. Something like you wouldn't think of, like you'll be there. Like it happens so quick. It comes, but it's amazing though, like for that experience, and I'm only working to get on the field more because like that feeling is amazing.
I'll have more in a moment.
Favorite jeans, favorite shirt. Got Conecuh sausage and I'm firing it up. Yeah, everybody knows. Now I get my grill on. You can smell that flavor up and down the road. It's a little taste of heaven, and everybody knows. That's how I get my grill on. Conecuh sausage. It's just a little taste of heaven.
Join us tonight for Hey Coach and the Kalen DeBoer Show starting at 6 p.m. Central at Baumhower's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa. Hey Coach is available to listen to across our radio network, the Varsity Network app, as well as a video stream on RolledTide.com and the Alabama Athletics social media platforms. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by Conecuh Sausage. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Two-time state champion and two-time NIT champion, Barry Sanderson breaks down the latest in sports on Inside the Locker Room on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. We get right up to the Yellowwood Hotline. He's ESPN 106.7, The Drive, down in Auburn, Opelika, every Monday from 4 to 6. Joins us every Wednesday, Bill Cameron. Good morning, Bill. How are you?
Hey, Bill. Good morning.
Doing fine, guys.
Where'd that?
Tough five-game stretch. Really tough, and I hate it for them. Is there going to be any changes? We had one coach on who really thought the quarterback, the receivers fell down on their job really more so than the quarterback. You can comment if you want to, but is anything changing on this trip to Georgia that anything that our listeners need to know about what's going to happen on his first road trip?
Not that I know of. I mean, you look at last week. Last week was by far the most painful loss. I mean, there've been a couple that Auburn, felt like they should have been able to pull out. This one, they led, and they should, and there's no question they should have won this ball game. And I don't feel like there's any changes you need to make with the players. The players did. I thought the players performed really well. Man, they played hard. They played well. They're in a position to win. This is one where I think it's on the sidelines. You've got to bring them through when they're struggling, winning these close ball games. And Auburn has really struggled, and Hugh Freeze has really struggled in close ball games. Yesterday we were talking about one of our Jason Caldwell from Auburn Undercover is on with us, as a matter of fact, every Wednesday, and one of the fellows at his site, who goes by Stat Tiger, put up some really discouraging numbers. The fact that over the last 5 years, Hugh Freeze has only won 33% of the ball games decided by 7 points or less, and that was another one Saturday that Auburn should have won. I mean, yes, maybe there could have been another decision made on a play or two, but you've got the helmet comm. I still can't understand why with helmet comm you don't just tell your quarterback, hey, we're running the ball. You're giving the ball to number 27. Jarquez Hunter's going to get the ball. He had run for 97 yards. He still has only had 120 carry game in his career and only 65 carries in 5 ball games, averaging 13 carries a game. When you've got somebody like that and you've got a lead in the fourth quarter, that's when you need to ride that horse.
Yeah, the running game is the thing that is kind of, programs I've been with, have really been a very questionable situation there. And, the guy he got from Ole Miss are calling the plays, and I know it's hindsight, but it's done good.
No, and we've wondered just this week. I mean, is it a situation where, when you don't have as much talent and you have an opportunity, you want to go ahead and put a team away? I mean, you think of when Auburn has won ball games, they've won them pretty big, and the Hughes won ball games, they pulled off upsets and won big. But I got back to thinking about his comments this summer that a lot of people, had more than raised eyebrows about when he said he should have beaten Nick Saban 4 times. Well, you look at those ball games, and yeah, maybe if you'd run the ball at the end of the ball game, or not kept trying to throw the ball, which ends up stopping the clock, even if you don't turn it over, maybe he would have won more.
Yeah, well, Barrett's going to give you some ideas he's got on what he says at these press conferences.
No, I just Monday's press conference, I guess he wanted to make sure everybody understood that what he inherited. And he went pretty long on that. John Cohen's done a good job of getting that out there, and it's they're not that far away, but he basically wanted to lay it at Brian Harson's feet, which not everybody, but I think people do understand he inherited a bad situation, but that had nothing to do with winning and losing these particular games. They had chances to win. Yeah. So is that getting old to people there, or is everybody still on board?
I think people are still on board, but I think a lot of folks are tiring of hearing of that because talent wasn't the reason. Like you said, talent wasn't the reason they lost on Saturday. You've got to then go ahead and start winning some of these games. We've talked about this quite a few times, here this year, that the next step is to show on the field that you're making those results. I mean, there's no question this is a more talented team, and they can make some plays offensively and defensively, but you've got to be able to go ahead and close those out. And right now, it's really hard to find a path to a winning season. The only way Auburn finishes with a winning year now this year, they've got to win. They've got to win sometime here in the month of October on the road, then come home, win the next 3 ball games, and then hope they can win a bowl game. I mean, that's the easiest path, and it's not extremely easy because your next 3 ball games are on the road against ranked teams.
Yeah, sometimes you look at that schedule and you say, oh, they're going to lose the next 3, and then that's when a team goes and wins one they're not supposed to. Sometimes when things are going bad, it's almost better to get out of town. You get away from all the negativity.
You're right there.
You get into the hotel. You guys at this point. You don't have to be surrounded by that. So I think it may help Auburn now. Only problem is going to Georgia. Is that going to be a sad or a mad Georgia on Saturday? That's probably a tough one to go in there. But just your mindset of this team going on the road and maybe relaxing a little bit and playing better.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine Georgia's going to, not be concentrating on this ball game. I mean, look, what a great game that was last week in Tuscaloosa, and Georgia. I mean, the way they came back and what a wild finish. They can afford to lose that ball game. That's not going to hurt them, but they can't afford to now go out and lose a ball game that they're heavily favored in. They know they've had that opportunity. They've shown, but yeah, it's homecoming for Georgia. Maybe that'll be a little bit of a distraction for them. Auburn hasn't won there since 2005, so it's been almost 20 years. I don't expect Georgia to be taking this one lightly or overlooking Auburn, but then I think Auburn will go over and play hard. This is going to be a game where you see the difference in talent, though.
What do they do as far as the coaching staff? There's other, you got 3 tough games here. You do have a great recruiting, I guess, a really good recruiting staff. I mean, players committed. But the worry is, are we going to lose these guys? We're not playing well. Alabama's playing great. That seems like the place to be. Is Alabama going to come in and start trying to tinker with some of these guys? What do you do as a staff to try to hold on to what you got committed? Because that's one positive thing they have, that the future is bright with the young talent they got committed, but they're not signed yet.
Yeah, that is a concern. I mean, and some of the guys, you can tell were more than a little frustrated after this past week. But there are others that feel like, if they came in, they can go ahead and put them over the hump. Auburn needs something positive here. I mean, they've got a good class going, but we've talked about it as well. I mean, they don't want to get in the situation that Florida had last year with Billy Napier and the team looking like, they're not going anywhere. Thus far, you haven't seen any signs from the team tossing in the towel. There was a question about, the concern about the team spiraling, and Hugh Freeze bristled at that a little bit, but it's got to be a concern because if it looks like the players are giving up on this year, then it's going to be tougher for the recruits to stay as excited. So, sure, that's got to be a concern, and again, that's why there's got to be something other than just playing it close in these ball games.
Yeah, that.
Well, Barry actually asked the question I was going to ask about the recruiting, because that's the mainstay of what they're going to do in the future.
Yep.
Are they spending a lot of time? Are they NIL money getting that together to get the quarterback they want? Are they going to the skill positions and getting Auburn people to help them get the skill guys? I know they're doing a good job recruiting. I get all that, and you're afraid you're going to lose them. I got all that. It's a good question. But are they getting the money from the right people to get the studs, 2 or 3 of them?
I think they have. Yeah, I think right now that they're in good shape. And look, I'm sure if there was, if you could just get into Hugh Freeze's head now, in hindsight. You remember Coach Dye saying hindsight's 50-50, but hindsight, I'm sure he'd wish that he had another weapon in the arsenal there and been able to gone out and added somebody. But you're in a situation right now where you can't do anything during this season. But I don't think that's going to dissuade them from going after. They still are very much hoping to bring in a top-notch high school quarterback. But I think they're going to be in the market for as good a transfer portal quarterback as they can get, and a couple of other guys. I mean, the other positions, they're fortunate that some of the young guys they brought in, they won't need as many transfer portal players. That was one of the things this past year when Hugh Freeze said they didn't want to spend $1 million on a quarterback. because they needed some other positions. I think they're in a position where that's what they're going to need, and that's what they will target in the off season.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at any level, man. The quarterback is such a humongous factor.
No question.
From the NFL to college, even to high school, you watch. And, you know, Alabama's been fortunate that their quarterbacks played extremely well. I think they're comfortable with their backup there. So that's one thing Auburn's got to get figured out. Bruce Pearl, these guys who started practice, I guess, down there. How are things going with Auburn basketball? A lot of optimism there for the Tigers.
Yeah, just looking at some guys in a little bit different spots than this past year. I thought it was interesting when Bruce said that he probably knows a little less about this team than he has other teams, and that's one where you go, well, but you're bringing back so many players that played last year, but they're working Denver Jones a good bit at the one just to have somebody to go with J.P. Pegues, who they brought in, and looking at Jani Broome at the 4 as well as the 5. So they really have, it appears they have a really good situation depth-wise. They've got 3 guys that can play the 1 and the 2, 3 players, and there's some carryover where Denver is going to be a guy that plays the 1 and the 2. They've got guys like Chad Baker-Mazara, Miles Kelly, the transfer from Georgia Tech, that are playing the 2 and the 3, so that they've got a lot of depth and a lot of versatility. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, the different matchups and lineups that they go with. But this is it's going to be one of the bigger teams that Bruce has had, and they've also got more guys, I think, that can handle the ball. And that was a bit of a problem last year. The point actually was as big a problem as they had. They're still planning on playing 10 guys, double-figure minutes. It'll be interesting if it was like last year where they had so many players playing around 20 minutes, or if it's more in the 25 to 28 minutes for one guy and maybe 12 to 15 for another.
Yeah, that.
I don't have anything else. Anything on baseball that we need to know?
No, I think they're going through some of the workouts. I haven't had a chance to get over there and see them. That's one of the things that I count on Jason to do. He gets over a lot of times in the afternoons and watches practice. I mean, some good early reports coming out from some of the arms. So I mean, that's something that is good to hear. All the competition that there is with so many guys trying to make their mark here in the fall.
Sure.
Just your thoughts about the SEC, what you've seen so far. You just don't know what's going to happen one week to the next. I guess Kentucky must be better than we thought. They did have the one game against South Carolina. People questioned them, and they came back and really played Georgia well. They go to Ole Miss and win. Texas seems to be doing fine. They haven't played a really tough schedule, but A&M's even kind of turned it back. And that Ole Miss at South Carolina game this weekend should be pretty interesting, don't you think? And Tennessee at Arkansas.
Yeah, I agree. Arkansas is better than we thought. Tennessee, I think they've got a little too much for the Hogs, but Arkansas is definitely better than we thought. So is South Carolina. That's a really interesting game. Kentucky offense has been their problem. I thought Brock Vandagriff played really well in Oxford this past week. He had struggled a couple of times early, and I think that was the problem there against South Carolina. They're really salty defensively, though. So yeah, it's a really interesting league. So many teams can beat others, and that's the thing. That's what's so frustrating to folks around here is Auburn looks like they can play with these teams. They've just got to either believe or be guided to being able to win some of those ball games to try to get over the hump. But yeah, it's a really interesting league. You got a couple of really, really good teams at the top, but then you got a whole lot of teams, I think, that are very competitive from that point down.
Yeah. Tell everybody where they can find you, Bill, and get all your great stuff.
Yes, The Drive every afternoon, 4 to 6 on ESPN 106.7. Love for you to join in. You can, if you can't listen live, well, you can listen live online at ESPNAU.com or go to RadioAlabama.net. But if you miss it live, check out our podcast.
Yeah, it's probably wild times down there for you guys right now with everything going on.
Yeah, it's been pretty lively.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
All right, there's Bill with the Auburn Report. Let's tell them about Bryant Bank, and then we'll get to break.
Well, we certainly appreciate Bryant Bank being one of our sponsors. If you are looking to open up an account and you want people that are interested in you personally and will do everything they can to make you happy and be surrounded, not your banker, your head guy, and they will be surrounded by a lot of people who are smart, then Bryant Bank is the place for you to check it out and go. They've been in Tuscaloosa, I think, since 2005. Four locations there. The many locations in Birmingham. That's where I deal with them. Your bank, your money in your bank, whether it be a personal account or a business account, will be safe. They do a really good job being darn sure that what you put in there stays safe. They are a bank that is interested in you as a person. And I think that you'll find that you just like going in somewhere where they know you. And if you happen to be new in the city, go by Bryant Bank and take a look and see exactly what they have. So we appreciate Bryant Bank doing what they do for us. And we're hopeful that you will go by and visit with them and tell them you heard them inside the locker room.
All right, we'll take the break. Well, but the phone lines, we've been pretty guest-heavy there, so we'll have the phone lines open the rest of the show. You listen to Tide 100.9, 1230 AM, WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Got a little more volume working on McFarland Boulevard now that your rush to work is really beefing up. So east and westbound McFarland in between Main Avenue and Rice Mine 5th Street, you do have some heavy taps on the brakes. Now Lurleen Wallace is still pretty much on the...
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Get your free guide at iCancelTimeshare.com. That's iCancelTimeshare.com. iCancelTimeshare.com.
Lowe's knows pros. Valid in-store only. More terms and restrictions apply. Visit Lowe's.com/terms or Pro Desk for details.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partly to mostly sunny today with a warm afternoon, the high 85. Tonight fair with the low at 63. Tomorrow partially sunny, the high 86. Friday, a mix of sun and clouds, a few isolated showers around, the high 82. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 67 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Alabama fans are all over the world, and we are too. Download the Tide 100.9 app right now in the App Store and Google Play, and take the Crimson Tide everywhere you go.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker. I get right up to the Yellowwood hotline, and we'll bring Tom into the show. Good morning, Tom.
Hey, Barry. Good morning, Coach. How are y'all?
Good. How are you, Tom?
Okay. How are you, Tom?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. I've enjoyed the show this morning. Thought it was been really, really interesting to follow.
Thank you.
But I want to bring up something, and if it's, we don't want to go down this road, you tell me it won't be a problem, but playoff baseball, Major League Baseball particularly, is interesting to me in this regard. It reminds, the quality of play is kind of like the NBA. You know, when they get to the playoffs, they find another gear or pick it up a notch. And, you know, and I don't follow baseball, like watch it during the year. I read the box scores and this, that, and the other. But, you know, this Witt guy for Kansas City, as the season got through and they were getting ready to go in the playoffs, he's kind of fascinated me. Tell me this. He's a pitcher he's got a 4-seam fastball that knocks the door off of 100 to 103 range in mile per hour, a 92-mile-an-hour changeup. And last night, that was on full display based on everything I read in the box score.
Well,
Witt's the shortstop, though, right?
Wait, have I got them mixed up?
Yeah, you talking about the Royals? Or who are you talking about?
Yeah, the guy that pitches for the Royals. I cannot remember his name.
Raggins was the guy who started last.
Yeah, Reagan was. Yeah, I'm sorry, I got the people mixed up there. But like I said, I don't watch it. I read the box scores, and going into that series, this guy. I was curious, and it was a pitcher's deal from the get-go, and but that's his resume. What do you make? That's unreal, isn't it?
Yeah, if you look at, there was 8 teams that played. All right, the Astros scored 1 run, Royals 1 run, Orioles 0, Braves 0. So there you got 1, 2, 3, 5 teams that scored 1 run or less. So pitching in these playoffs, of course, you try to throw your ace. That's where the Braves of course, pitching didn't bother the Braves yesterday. They couldn't score a run. They could, and they've had so many injuries, but the pitching is what really kind of takes over.
I disagree with Gary. The fact that the Braves even were in the ballpark to get an opportunity, it's amazing to me. And he goes, they should have made it.
No. I mean, you take out third baseman, you take out Acuna. I mean, you take out Strider. I mean, those are 3 all-stars right there that you take out of that lineup.
Well,
Acuna's been gone for a while. And then they had a couple of rookie pitchers come in and throw well, so their pitching actually held up. But I just don't think I think Major League Baseball should be embarrassed. You make those 2 teams play on Monday night and then make the Braves fly all the way across the country.
I thought that.
And have to play the best 2 out of 3. That they probably didn't get into San Diego till 1:30 in the morning.
I agree with what you said. I agree with what you said. It ain't like they're running out of time.
No, give them a day. One day. But why are we rushing it? And then it's 2 out of 3.
Wouldn't it make more sense? In baseball, to me, it makes more sense when the season ends or whatever. Give them like 3 or 4, 5 days, let everything kind of reset, and then that team can bring their A game out instead of putting them behind the damn 8 ball, and you're not getting a real fair shake at how good they are or whatever. But to me, to rush in there like they did, but Coach is right, it's all about this TV. They got it locked in, and we're going to broadcast this on TV or else.
Well, they and I get this. The Guardians, the Yankees, the Phillies, and the Dodgers are sitting there. So their last game is Sunday, so they have 6 days off till they play. Now, if you wait 2 or 3 days to play, they would be off for 9 or 10 days. So,
True.
So I think don't want to. And sometimes those teams that are all in baseball is kind of a rhythm deal. You want to be playing every day with the bat in your hand, and when you take 6 days off, although I know they're hitting, it's just not the same. So we'll see how these teams.
Let me ask you this though. You never did answer my question on Reagan. A 4-seam fastball at 100 miles an hour and a 92 mile an hour change up with a screwball to throw in the mix there. That's amazing, is it not? Or am I off base?
No, anybody can throw a 100-mile-an-hour 4-seam, and then if you got off-speed stuff to go with it, then you kind of keep those batters off. They were showing the Braves guy pitching that was one of their top minor league guys, and he was tipping his pitches. They could tell the fastball from the changeup based on how he was holding his glove and how he had that ball gripped. And those guys look for every advantage. And so that's something he'll have to learn to be able to disguise his pitching. But a guy that can throw that hard, if you can throw those pitches for strikes, then you obviously got the batter at disadvantage for sure.
See you, Barry. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Tom. All right, we'll go ahead and take this break. We'll come back. We'll look at these games in the SEC. We've talked so much about Georgia. We haven't talked about what's coming up. So I know probably the Alabama coaching staff is ready to get that Georgia behind them and stop talking about that and move on to Vanderbilt. So we'll talk about that and what needs to be done for these guys to be ready to play at 3:15 on Saturday up in Nashville. You listen to Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC, the home of Alabama sports.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of The Game, we're going to continue taking your scores for Alabama Vanderbilt on the Southern Ohio Score Prediction Contest. We'll also talk with Josh from College Football Nerds, Aaron Torres from Fox Sports, right here starting at 2 p.m. on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A little slow in the construction zones right now, and that's specifically on Lurleen Wallace, or McFarland actually, east and westbound between Jack Warner and Lurleen Wallace, and 2059 eastbound between Joe Malisham and McFarland. You've also got some road construction. It's going to slow you down just a touch.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Get the facts. For your free timeshare exit info kit, go to iCancelTimeshare.com. That's iCancelTimeshare.com. iCancelTimeshare.com.
Tuesday night, live from Walk On Sports Bistro for Hillcrest Huddle. That's Brent Jones each week as the Hillcrest Patriots march towards the playoffs.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance.
In Birmingham, plus don't miss our grand opening celebration Friday, October the 11th through Sunday, October 13th. And check us out at academy.com with free shipping on purchases over $25.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partly to mostly sunny today with a warm afternoon, the high 85. Tonight fair with the low at 63. Tomorrow partially sunny, the high 86. Friday, a mix of sun and clouds, a few isolated showers around, the high 82. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 68 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Mr. SEC Tournament Wimp Sanderson gives you his excellent analysis every weekday on Inside the Locker Room, right here on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. We'll get right back to the Yellowwood Hotline. We'll go all the way to Gordo, Alabama, and get Abe in. Good morning, Abe.
Hey, Abe. Good morning.
Hey. Good morning, Coach. Good morning, Barry. Hey, Barry, I want to ask you, sometimes I hear you talk about Dish TV and Direct TV.
Yeah.
Somebody was telling me, you boys are smarter than I am on it, but they said Direct TV bought Dish. Have you heard anything about that?
They did. I don't know. I have Direct TV. I've had them for the last 10 years.
Just announced the other day. I think you're correct. I don't know. They
tried to stop it. The government did because, they don't want a monopoly. Well, they finally kept trying, and after a year they let them do it. They said, well, DirecTV is just absorbing Dish's debt. Well, anyway, with these youngsters streaming, I guess the TV folks are hurting. But anyway, Coach, I'm gonna pick. I don't think I'm gonna get in your way, but I'm gonna pick Mizzou over A&M. I like that game. I like it because it's an 11 a.m. game.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that Kentucky and Ole Miss game this week. Last week.
Yeah, if you take Mizzou, you're going to get two and a half points right now.
I got you. And then, last week, my obscure game, I was surprised that Gus Malzahn got beat up by Dion.
Yeah, he was a little bit. he was a 14-point favorite in that game, and Deion went in there and whooped him. So that won't help Florida. Central Florida will play well against Florida. If we were to beat them, then that'll get all that stirred up again. So that was a bad for Florida that Colorado went in there and did that. If they don't,
games are hard to pick. I haven't had much luck with A&M. I'm staying away from them.
I know it. I think the only thing I'll say is I believe Missouri can pass it just a little bit better than A&M. So anyway, you got to go with something. But I was going to ask Barry. Somebody said we had 3 great basketball recruits at the Georgia football game. Were you? Did you have knowledge of that?
Yeah, I knew that. It was all. They had the number 1 player in the country. They had 3. I think it was 3 top 25. I don't have their names right in front of me. 3 top 25 players there, and they showed Coach Oates walking with them on the field, and those guys were getting a ton of attention. So I'm sure they had a great visit this weekend. What a great time to bring them in. So we'll see what happens.
Ride that momentum. All right, love your show.
Thank you, Abe.
Thank you, Abe.
All right, real quick before we go. So Abe mentioned that Missouri game, so you get 2.5 there. I think this Ole Miss South Carolina game, the lines fluctuate around 9.5. South Carolina's got a really good defense. Their quarterback is going to be back. I wish it was a night game, but does Ole Miss bounce back at South Carolina, Dad?
I think it's a little bit questionable. Ole Miss gets off to a bad start. I don't know exactly what the deal is. I think it's, as I said at the beginning of the show, a must game for them.
Yeah. The other interesting game, I think everybody's giving Arkansas no chance. I'm not so sure about that. The game's at home at night. They're Tennessee, currently a 13. It's dropped a point, 13.5 now. Do you give Arkansas any chance? So I'm not worried about cutting the line and winning this game.
I've looked at it heavily. I don't know what I'm going to do. I like Tennessee where they play. And I like them because I think they're better defensively. I think they've improved a great deal there. And I really couldn't tell how good the quarterback was. And the one time they just carried on about him. And, of course, the Tennessee Oklahoma game was a confusing game to me. I never could tell what Tennessee was trying to do in that game, and naturally the defense dictated what they wanted to do offensively. So it was, I don't know about you, but I thought it was a confusing game.
Yeah. All right. We'll pick the Blue Plate tomorrow. That'll be brought to you by Chuck Norwood and the RE/MAX Realty team down in Orange Beach, Gulf Shores. You're looking to buy or sell. Chuck is your guy. Go to chucknorwood.com or give him a call, 251-946-1212. All right. Tomorrow we got, JC at 7:30. Tyler Watts will join us at 8:15. So we have 2 great guests tomorrow to talk a little Alabama and SEC football. You listen to Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. It is the home of Alabama sports. Have a great day, everybody.
Most tax pros leave a message.
It's Jane. I'm moving on to a TurboTax expert who beat your price. Adam Devine, tell him how I feel.
Hey, tax pro, she's been thinking twice. Best believe TurboTax will beat your price. This is a tax break.
Switch to a TurboTax Live expert and we'll beat what you paid your pro last tax season. Make the switch at TurboTax.com/beatyourprice. TurboTax full service only. Sign up by 12/20/2024 and file by 4/1/2025. Full details at TurboTax.com/beatyourprice.